When you hear the word meteorite, what do you think of? I usually think of something between a miles-wide dinosaur-killing chunk of rock and the shooting stars you can see during meteor showers. Now, there are a lot of words that start with meat used to describe objects that fall to Earth. No, not that kind of meat. These are meteoroids, which come in two varieties, the meteor and the meteorite. The difference between these two words is actually quite simple. If a falling object burns up in the Earth's atmosphere, like a shooting star, then it is a meteor. If it does not entirely burn up, and some part of it crashes to Earth, then it is a meteorite. Here at the museum, we have our own meteorite. Would you like to see it? Now, this probably doesn't look very interesting. Isn't that just a tiny piece of metal? Where's the gigantic rock I was expecting? But what if I told you that this little thing in here is actually the cold, dead heart of an exploded star? It's true. This here is a piece of the Willamette Meteorite, a 32,000-pound chunk of iron that landed somewhere in northern Montana or southern Canada. We don't know exactly where it landed because years and years of flooding and glaciers pushed the massive thing all the way to the Willamette Valley where humans first found it. The reason that I called it the cold, dead heart of an exploded star is because this is made of iron. Iron is only naturally created in one place in the universe, the hearts of stars. As stars get older, their cores get denser, moving from light elements like hydrogen and helium to massive elements like iron. When these stars get too old, they explode in a supernova, and this iron gets shot out into space. Eventually, planets form around such heavy elements, which is why Earth has metal at its core. These planets also crash into each other early in the forming of a solar system like ours, creating millions of asteroids. And some of these asteroids eventually crash into Earth as meteorites, like the one next to me. As you can imagine, meteorites like the Willamette Meteorite are pretty awesome, and a lot of people have fought over the Willamette Meteorite in the past 100 years. Originally, it was sacred to the Clackamas people who lived in the Willamette Valley. Thousands of years of rain and acidification wore the holes you see in the meteorite. These holes filled with rainwater, which was used for healing purposes, and which Clackamas warriors dipped their arrowheads in to gain its powers. The Clackamas people called the meteorite Tomanowos, which roughly means visitor from the sky. It was viewed as a protective being that unified the sky, earth, and water. In the early 1900s, though, the Oregon Iron and Steel Company took over the land containing the meteorite. In 1902, a man named Elias Hughes discovered it and moved it onto his own land. The Oregon Iron and Steel Company did not like this and reclaimed it through the court. It was purchased by a private owner in 1905, but was eventually donated to the American Museum of Natural History in New York, where it currently lives. This is all well and good, except that the meteorite never really belonged to Elias Hughes or to the Oregon Iron and Steel Company. Because of its heavy religious and cultural significance to the Clackamas peoples, many arguments and lawsuits have revolved around the meteorite's removal from Oregon, though the group with the most claim, the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde Community of Oregon, has reached an agreement with the museum it currently resides in and are no longer trying to move it back to Oregon. Though the main body of the meteorite lives in New York, some smaller pieces do remain in the state, like this one. And I've got to say, it's pretty awesome that I can say that this piece of metal formed in the heart of a star billions of years ago, with so many stories attached to it throughout the people of Oregon, lives right here in the museum.